Another sugar baby article here on Women Not Podcasting. Life after being a sugar baby, I couldn't turn the character all the way off. Well, you shouldn't. Yeah, it's funny. Well, they have this story right here from Refinery 29 talking about this. Aris Sylvester. Now, most sugar relationships are short, intense, and quick to fizzle out. After a while, the majority of sugar babies look to leave the community and settle into various facets of normal society. But is it that as easy as it sounds? Short answer is no. Although good sugar relationships share a lot of their foundation, respect, communication, boundaries with regular relationships, there's enough disparities that make the mindset needed to maintain the two widely dissimilar. For one, sugar relationships are heavily transactional and build up expensive standards that regular partners might struggle to maintain. But this is because if a guy is going to be a sugar daddy, just saying, okay, I don't play one on TV and I don't play one in real life, but I will say this is that if you're going to be the daddy part, you want to make sure that the girl, for the sake of the girl, unless you don't care, and there's guys out there could do that, but you know what? If you want to be considerate of the girl and you like her and you want to make sure she's better off than you found her, then make sure that, she puts some money aside. And look, there's going to be some girls that are going to have their certain status. They're going to want to just live the lifestyle they have, live in luxury, live in expensive taste. Well, you're not going to change that. And that's maybe what this writer is talking about here. But you also want to realize that a girl that might be in a sugar relationship, ladies, if you're going to be in one, you might want to save some of that money that you're getting. That's a lot of money you're getting in there. You don't necessarily have to go and spend it on all those wonderful little toys and trinkets right away. You can take care of some other things. And there's some girls that will just use it for proper things like rent and, take care of bills and student loans and things like that. Sure. But keep in mind that if you do it, it's funny how they're talking about one of the retired sugar babies they talk about here, Kelsey Dunn, who's 26 years old. She told Refinery 29 that returning to regular dating was one of the hardest things she ever had to do. My first vanilla relationship after a 4-year sugar dating spree was a nightmare. Before this, I was getting flown out for first dates, receiving weekly allowances. Then I started dating someone who earned as much as me, and I obviously couldn't give that. My brain struggled to make the switch. If you're getting to that point, Kelsey, then you're going to be like that. You're not going to switch it off. That just means you like the lifestyle, and that's what you want from a guy. But at 26 years old, you could keep going if you want because you're still a young girl. So the thing is that you're going to need to realize in the status that you want, you can't just keep going with this. And then dating, you're going to have to realize that in order to maintain that status, you're going to have to lock up with somebody. Because by 26, going into your 30s, you better find somebody to marry if you're going to keep that lifestyle going. That's what you're going to have to do. She also says, I was a toxic ball of entitlement that constantly demanded money and other things. Dr. Miro Gudelski, a licensed psychologist and sex therapist, explains that some sugar babies struggle with recognizing sugar dating as a business and separating it from their personal lives, which is most important with guys out there. If you're going to do this, you need to make sure it's a business. There's no attachment, no feelings. No. You can't do it. And for the sake of the girl, you don't do that to her either. Quote, I've seen this happen where sugar babies get accustomed to receiving gifts simply for showing up. It's easy for folks to lose themselves in this mindset. And when this happens, the ability to form deeper connections and relationships is stunted. Yeah. It's like a guy that might be, caught up into watching porn, or doing things to themselves, in a sexual manner, hypersexualization. You stunt yourself from having an actual relationship. Now, Dunn also says that she really liked the person she was dating at the time. It was inevitable that they would break up. And she also said, I withheld love when I didn't get my way. It was hard to see him pass someone who liked me and could buy me things. The guy should have noticed that right off the bat. If she's needy and she is, kind of money hungry like that, unless you're willing to go ahead and satisfy the appetite, you need to get out of there. And guys, if you have a girl like this and that's not what you want to deal with, you either come to grips with the fact that she's going to be this way. You might want to go ahead and try to talk to her and see if you can try to change things up. But the most important thing is that girls at this age, hopefully they find themselves, there's a point where you got to be independent yourself. Not a lot of girls are like this. This is not a big majority of girls that are doing this. Let's just make sure of that. But we know that a lot of girls that do this, usually college age, and they're just trying to get themselves through school, get themselves started. And if they're smart enough, they're going to use the money that they get from all this to make something of themselves, start a new business, get themselves ahead, be independent, or they might find themselves in a career job and they're moving along. And will have found somebody with their youth and beauty to keep themselves managed along the way. But there's one thing about this here: when girls are into these sites strictly for gifts and money, and that's all they care about. But then again, that's the start from the get-go, because then for them, they don't really care about the relationship or the person they're with. It's just transactional, as we hear. It's nothing about any real feelings or emotions. But there might be some supposed artificial emotions and feelings because of the fact that it's like they're Pavlovian dogs. They're getting satiated. They're getting the behavior mechanism is, well, if I act like this is the kind of behavior I have, I'll receive a treat. And that's what happens here. And then the girl might just lose the whole idea of being, in an actual relationship, which is why you can only do this for a while. You can't keep this up as a regular lifestyle. It's not safe. It's not healthy. Now, Dash Priestley, a dating coach and former sugar baby, says, quote, "The key to sugar dating is protecting your emotions so you can really finesse and get to the bag." Now, she says she grew up an unaffectionate person, says that sugar dating exacerbated this and emotionally desensitized her. Quote, "I like to think of being a sugar baby as playing a character. You have to turn off this character when you're pursuing something more long-term. Sometimes you really can't turn it all the way off, though." She's right. You do need to play it like a character. Or you need to realize you're getting something from this, you experience it, and you move on with your life. And the right guy that comes to you is going to let you move on to somebody else. That's the right way to do it. It's only for a temporary time. Sugaring also alters the organic decision process that one might go through because it does not take components into perspective. The sugar babies are prone to ignoring red flags in favor of financial compatibility, which is what they're familiar with. Quote, "It's a case of choosing what hill you're willing to die on. I date a lot of men," Priestley says, "who are entitled and self-absorbed. They don't make good long-term partners, but their money makes the hassle worth it." Yes. Because if the guys didn't have to go into being in the sugar dating, they wouldn't have gone to this point. If they were not so much that it's that they're not good to date, that they couldn't do the right thing, or they were never a good person to date in the first place. But I think part of it has to be as well that some guys just don't want to compromise anymore. So there might be good guys out there, but remember, they've also checked out of the game. Like someone like myself, I don't bother dating, actively as much as I did ever now, because of the point that it's just there's no real compromise anymore. Because I think women, a lot of times, not all, but many, they're not willing to compromise. They're not willing to go ahead and be the kind of woman that's going to not want to let me go, that wants to hold on to me and really is genuinely and sincerely interested. There's not many of those type of women anymore. And if there are, I don't put myself out there to be noticed that way either. You could dress the part, you can look the part, you can be seen in the right places. Absolutely. And you can actively pursue and chase. You can do that too. Or you can just make yourself be noticed so that you can be seen and heard and found. You can do that. Absolutely. Every guy should go ahead and make the attempt. Don't do like me unless you've absolutely exercised every possibility. But for the guys that are on here doing this kind of thing, they're not necessarily always bad people to date. It's just right now, she's talking about here how there are guys that are entitled and self-absorbed. Okay, sure. There's a lot of guys like that. But that's the only thing too, is that if girls going to get into a sugar relationship, find a guy that is not so entitled and self-absorbed. That's not somebody you hold on to for an allowance. That's somebody you hold on to just to go and hook up once in a while. And that's it. Friends with benefits, nothing more. And Dash also says that because the majority of my dating has been sugar dating, I've never been afraid to take up space and ask for what I want and know I deserve. Yeah. You're just going to realize that's what you're going to be after all this. Sugar babies can gain clarity, realize their worth, and have a better understanding of what they want out of life. Cody confirms this as she says, sugar dating boosts your self-esteem immensely. She did it for fun as a sophomore in college. Before that, I was a deeply insecure person. But once I started getting loads of attention and gifts from men, I realized I was a bad bitch and I can really do anything. Basing your self-worth off of others isn't the healthiest option, Dunn says, but I think it's just the right amount of validation needed to kickstart your journey into self-love. Well, that's also the other thing too, is that if a woman, some of the girls that come out of into these sugar daddy scenarios, they've come out of very toxic relationships. And they've gone with guys that have shot down that have brought up their insecurities, heightened them to a certain sense, and have damaged them to a certain point, physically, mentally, emotionally, all those things. So keep in mind that there are some girls that come into this that they need the validation, they want the endorsement, they want to feel good about themselves, feel pretty, feel empowered, feel loved, self-love. That's not a bad thing, I don't think. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Dr. Gudelsky says that being able to talk about desires, expectations, needs are skill sets many young people don't always learn. And it turn leaves us with aging adults who cannot ask for what they truly desire and sometimes don't even know what they want. Correct. So women, if you have all the youth and beauty you should possibly possess. Know what you want. Ask for what you want. Don't be afraid. Listen, you're young, you're beautiful. Ask for what you want. The society has made it possible for you to go out there and be yourself. And there's you can make excuses for everything. You can basically, you have VIP treatment. You are entitled to the VIP treatment because the society allows that to happen and guys allow that to happen. So take advantage of it. It might not be great down the line, but take advantage of it for the meantime, but realize that's not always the whole thing. And if you want a real relationship, like the other people said here, you need to know it's not a turning on and off. It's playing a part. It's a very important story right here. Keep that in mind here, folks. Come back with more What About Podcasting on the next episode. I'll talk to you soon.